What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? How we doing? How we doing? How we doing? Good morning. Happy Saturday. Got 3 games today. So we'll be live for around an hour, 45 minutes to an hour, I would say here. Gonna be talking about the games, gonna be answering all you guys' questions. I appreciate you guys stopping by. Hopefully everyone has a great Saturday. Hopefully these games end up being more interesting than they are on paper. Obviously, anyone that's just looking at all these matchups, you'd probably think that only one of them will be good. Well, we thought Thursday night football was going to be straight up trash. And while it was kind of straight up trash, it was still at least exciting in a way. So should be a fun one today. Let's get on into the questions. Dustin, I need 2 for the flex, full PPR. Devontae Smith, Jaden Reed, Walker, Mitchell, Ty Chandler, Antonio Gibson, Browns, Colts, Cowboys defense. Merry Christmas. Thanks for the help. Merry Christmas to you as well. Happy holidays to everybody. Everybody. Yeah. Devontae Smith for sure. Yeah, I'm going Devontae Smith, Jaden Reed, and Antonio Gibson. And then for the defense, I'm going Colts. Rice or Nakua, I would go ahead and go with Nakua. Beckham or Dobbs, I would go Beckham. Good morning. What's up, Brian? Good morning. Need 1 flex spot. Beckham Jr., Drake London, Godwin, Noah Brown. I'd go Drake London. Zay Jones or Addison. Zay Jones. Would I be wrong to start Howell over Mahomes? I think I have Mahomes ranked ahead of him, but again, Mahomes has been pretty bad this season. Let's just be honest. Let's call a spade a spade. Now, again, I'm not saying he's pretty bad to like the point where teams would be mad if they had Patrick Mahomes as their starting quarterback, right? Of course, like a majority of the NFL would sell their soul to get Patrick Mahomes to be their starting quarterback, right? But in terms of what we're used to for Patrick Mahomes, right? In terms of how elite the guy is, and I think he still is elite, right? But the thing is, he just hasn't played that way. His receivers are dropping balls left and right, and it's just kind of a tough scene for him. So again, while I'm not trying to just dump all over Mahomes, everyone kind of does that right now. I do think that Mahomes right now for fantasy is just kind of in a bit of a slump. So I do think I would, if it's my team, I'm playing Mahomes. But again, I'm not gonna have some type of argument with you because I like Howell a lot this week as well. PPR league need receiver to flex. Noah Brown, Chris Godwin, Jerick McKinnon, Demario Douglas, Gus Edwards, Antonio Gibson. I would go ahead and play. I'm playing Noah Brown. Sorry about that. I don't know why the hell I just yawned. Noah Brown and Antonio Gibson. Chiefs D or Browns D. Chiefs and Laporta. Chandler or Ford? Ford been a crazy season. I agree. This has been one of the crazier seasons I can remember. I don't remember ever playing fantasy football and there being this many injuries. Now maybe I'm just wrong, right? Maybe I'm just flat out wrong, but I don't remember, at least in terms of the quarterbacks, this many quarterbacks getting hurt. Like, it's crazy. It really is crazy how many injuries there have been this year. Chubb going down super early. A lot of people that like a lot of people's first round picks that they're all high and mighty about go down. So it sucks. But let's hope we can eat a W this season, anyways, even regardless of the injuries, right? Nick, thank you for the super chat, my man. I really appreciate you. Thank you for being the GOAT. No, thank you. I really appreciate all you guys that watch all the streams. It really means the world to me. Again, we're going to be live today for around an hour, and then we're getting off. I know the games start at 1, but I got some other stuff to do. So thank you. Again, Merry Christmas to you as well. Merry Christmas to everyone in chat. Happy holidays. I believe it is Hanukkah. Happy Hanukkah to everyone out there as well. Need some help, Gino or Mahomes. Need a running back 3 and a flex. OBJ, Javante, Ty Chandler, Gibby, Taysom, or Goddard. He already has CD, Kyron, and Bijan as safety nets. I don't know why the fuck I'm yawning. Sorry. All right, so Gino or Mahomes. I'm gonna be honest with you. I like Gino a lot this week, but I think it would be crazy to sit Mahomes for Geno Smith, right? Again, we kind of did just dump all over Mahomes, but are you really gonna sit Patrick Mahomes for Geno Smith? Like, can you actually do that? What's up, Spock? Can you really sit Mahomes for Geno? For me, the answer would be no. So I'm playing Mahomes. You need a running back 3 and a flex. You've got Gibson, Chandler, Javante, OBJ. All right, so I think you have to play Javante. I think you have to play Javante. And then the question is Chandler, Gibson, or Odell. Oof. Let me think. Let me think. Let me think. All right, so you're going Javante. You're locking Javante in. And then you've already locked Javante in. At tight end, you're going to go Taysom Hill. And then at flex, I would go Gibby personally. So we're going to go Mahomes, Gibby, Javante, Taysom Hill. Now, if you want to feel a little bit safer, then I would go ahead and play Goddard over Taysom. But besides that, I think this is pretty clear. You got to play Javante. I'm not sitting Mahomes, and then Gibson seems like the third best bet there. So, and sorry, Spock, to hear about your dog. I didn't realize that you were leaving the chat until on Thursday until I would say like 5 minutes after. I was so behind on questions. We got a lot of super chats. So I was just scrolling through and then I saw that you were gone, so I didn't even say anything because I was already like 5 minutes behind when you said you were gone. But sorry to hear about your dog. I hope your dog ends up okay. Terrible. Um, yeah. So again, Holmes, Javante, Gibson, Taysom. That shit's sad, man. Thank you, Dorothy, for the super chat. I appreciate you. Um, you have been very helpful. I did pick the Raiders this week off the waivers from the playoffs, 7-7. Thank you a lot, man. King of fantasy. Merry Christmas. Thank you. Thank you. And good luck. Awesome to have the Raiders defense. Obviously, that gives you a huge boost this week. I'm not sure how many fantasy points they scored, but they will. I'd be shocked at this point if they weren't the highest scoring defense, right? You don't see a defense go that crazy very often. Let me pull up my league real quick. I want to see how many points they scored. NFL fantasy. Oh, in my league. Now, again, fantasy football defenses are scored so differently when you compare one league to another. Merry Christmas, Tater. Toddy, appreciate you. Um, let's see here. Because I feel like everyone kind of plays half PPR, PPR, standard. Like everyone's leagues are set up very similar. And then every league from a defensive perspective, it's just wildly different from one team to another. I didn't pick up the Raiders defense in my one league. They're still available because I was on bye. They scored 31.98 points in my league. Now, again, that might just be 25 points for your league. It might be 40 points in your league, but that's very nice for you. RJ, Miami, or the 49ers. Now, I do think, obviously, the 49ers have the better defense, right? I think that based upon what we saw up against the Tennessee Titans, I'm not going to sit here and pretend like the Dolphins defense really made some crazy leap, even though I think they did. The problem here with the Dolphins defense is the coaching. I think Vic Fangio knows what to do for the first three quarters. And then once the game gets a little bit like we're up a little bit, then he starts playing this bullshit prevent defense and it doesn't work. With that said, I'm going the 49ers against the Cardinals. I think that Kyler's going to get sacked a bunch of times. I think both of these are premier defenses on the week, but I'll lean with the defense that I feel like is a little bit better. And plus, I wouldn't be shocked if I'm being completely honest with you if Zach Wilson just goes crazy against the Dolphins and they somehow I don't think they'll win, but I think Zach could have a better game than we think. So I'm going with the 49ers defense. Zach Dabney, thank you for the super chat, my man. I really appreciate you. Reed or Garrett Wilson defense, Rams or Tennessee without Stroud. So the Tennessee defense is something. Sorry again. I don't know why the fuck I keep yawning, and I know I hate when I watch people yawn because I probably just made like two of you guys yawn. So I apologize. So when it comes to the Tennessee defense, I know they're going up against the Texans offense without Stroud, but how good is that going to end up being? Right? Because we all know the Tennessee defense really isn't that good, right? They're a team that doesn't really provide a lot of pressure. They don't really pressure the quarterback, which is bad for fantasy because for fantasy, what mostly matters is the sacks, right? You need the sacks, the picks, the fumbles, all that, right? So the question is, would I rather have the Rams or the Titans? I think even still, I'd rather have the Rams because again, you need in fantasy, you need the picks, you need the quarterback hits, the sacks, all of that in order to be valuable for fantasy. And it wouldn't shock me if even without Stroud, they just can't get to the quarterback. So I'm going to go ahead and go with the Rams. I like the Rams matchup against the Commanders. And then Garrett Wilson or Jaden Reed, I would personally go with Man, what is wrong with me? I'd personally go with Garrett Wilson. I like Garrett Wilson a ton this week. I think that Garrett Wilson against the Dolphins defense, while technically on paper this is a tough matchup, he's going to get peppered a bunch. The Jets are going to have to throw a lot in this game. This isn't a game where the Jets can just coast a victory like they did against the Texans, right? This is a game where the Jets are going to have to be pedal to the metal all game long. So I'm going to go with Garrett Wilson. I think Jaden Reed's slightly safer, but I'm going Garrett Wilson. And Brian, I have not finished all my Christmas shopping. I am a notoriously bad Christmas shopper in terms of I just wait till the very last minute. We got Wang Chung 21. You got the picture of LeBron as the Chinese guy. Very funny. Le communist. Puka Nakua, Travis Etienne, or Ayuk, the Juke in the flex. Yeah. I don't drink coffee, Brian. I don't know why. I'm not even tired. That's the craziest part is I literally feel wide awake. I woke up like an hour ago. I was chilling in my bed watching TikToks and I get on here to live stream and I felt fine in the morning. Like I don't even feel tired. I don't know what's wrong. I don't know what's wrong. Puka Nakua, Travis Etienne, or Ayuk in the flex. Oh, jeez. You don't want to sit any of these guys. So let's compare. I have Puka ranked higher than Ayuk, so Ayuk is out of the equation. And again, this doesn't mean that I hate Ayuk. It's just that out of all the options you have, I think Ayuk's the worst option. So then we go with Etienne or Nakua. Etienne's going up against the Ravens defense that I view to be pretty tough. Now, do I think that Etienne's just going to get locked up and have a bad game? No. I do not believe that, but I do think that the matchup is tough there. I don't think this is some soft serve matchup. Again, Etienne can perform in any matchup. We've seen that this season, especially if Trevor Lawrence looks a lot more healthy. It wouldn't be a shock to, I would say, anyone if Travis Etienne had a huge game. With that said, you got to go with Puka Nakua up against the Washington Commanders defense. The Commanders have one of the worst defenses in the NFL. They can't stop a nosebleed. I don't see how they are going to stop Puka Nakua, who has been on fire over the last 2 weeks. So I'm definitely going to go with Puka, especially with how good Matthew Stafford looks. How do you feel about Ferguson up against Buffalo? Ramsey says now, the way I feel about Ferguson is the way I feel about Ferguson basically every single week, right? If you look at his resume on the season, you will see that this is a guy that a majority of the weeks is very good. Now, at the tight end position, unless you're Travis Kelce, basically, unless you're Travis Kelce, right, there's going to be peaks and valleys of every single season, right? There are going to be games, even with you being an elite of the elite tight end. I'm not saying Dalton Schultz is just, or not Dalton Schultz, Dalton Ferguson. Is that even his name? What the fuck is his first name? What is Ferguson's first name? I don't know why the fuck I can't remember his name. Ferguson. Dallas. Jake Ferguson. Oh, geez. Oh, geez. I gave him Dalton Schultz's first name because Dalton Schultz used to be the tight end of the Cowboys. So I apologize for misspeaking there. But yeah, so when it comes to a guy like Ferguson, obviously he's not in that elite of elite tier, right? Obviously he's not Travis Kelce. He's not Kittle. He's not one of those guys. But unless you are Travis Kelce, you are going to have ups and downs. So Ferguson, I understand he hasn't been like this super safe option every single week, but no one is a super safe option unless your name is Travis Kelce or I guess Hawkinson this season. So I feel pretty confident in Ferguson. The Buffalo Bills defense isn't the greatest up against the tight end. I wish my Dolphins had a great tight end because I really do think that's a way to expose the Bills defense. And we let go of Gesicki, so we just have Durham Smythe, who again is solid, but he's not like some elite tight end. So I feel pretty confident in Ferguson. Again, any of these tight ends, I sound like a broken record, but any of these tight ends that aren't Travis Kelce, there's going to be ups and downs games. You just kind of have to ride with the wave, and I think I would be very confident riding with the wave of Ferguson this week. Sam, thank you for the super chat. I really appreciate it. Hey, do I start Murray or Wilson at quarterback and McBride or Njoku at tight end, McLaurin Downs or Lockett at receiver? All right. McBride or Njoku is a tough question because McBride has a very tough matchup up against the 49ers, but ultimately I would lean with McBride just because I really do believe that McBride is a little bit better than, or not a little bit better, but he's a little bit safer than people probably are thinking right now because McBride's a guy that gets 8+ targets every single week. If you could guarantee me my tight end gets 8+ targets every single week, I am playing them every single week, regardless if they're going up against the 49ers or the fucking XFL team, right? It doesn't matter to me. That is a tight end that I want in my lineup. So I'm definitely going to go ahead and go with McBride over Njoku, even though I know Njoku just had this huge game last week. I don't really see him replicating that. McLaurin Downs or Lockett, that comes down to McLaurin versus Lockett. I don't really want anything to do with Downs. If I'm being honest with you, I don't want anything to do with McLaurin against the Rams. So I'm going to go Lockett. Lockett's another one of these guys where every single week you kind of just know what's coming, right? You know he's either getting you 5 fantasy points or he's getting you 25, right? And you just have to accept that. You let the cards fall where they fall. Great matchup for the Seahawks this week. I like Lockett. And then Murray or Wilson is where I start to really have to think, right? That's why I answered this question last. So I love McBride. You're going with McBride. I love Lockett. You're going with Lockett. Murray or Wilson. Now, Murray is going to be in hell with this matchup against the 49ers. But he's able to run. He's able to get out of the pocket. And he could perform very well in this game. It wouldn't really be shocking. But I think I'd have to go with Mr. Unlimited, Mr. Russell Wilson up against that defense because of the fact that the Lions are just so bad. The Lions defense has been laughably bad ever since like week 1, right? Everyone remembers in week 1 when the Denver Broncos, they were like on top of the world, right? They beat down on the Chiefs, right? The defense plays great against the Chiefs. It's like, oh my gosh, the Lions defense, this Lions defense, that. And then ever since then, they have been nothing short of awful. So I'm going with Wilson. We're going McBride, and then we are going Lockett. Thank you, Sam, for the super chat. Dear God, help us. Thank you for the super chat. Which defense, Bears, Falcons, or Rams? Great question. Bears, Falcons, or Rams? I would personally go with the Falcons. Now, the Falcons get the Carolina Panthers. And again, I'm not someone that likes to sling mud metaphorically on Bryce Young, right? I'm not someone that's trying to dance on his grave. I see a lot of takes like, Will Levis is actually better than Bryce Young. Well, I don't really believe that to be true at all. So I really think that there's a lot of people just slinging mud on Bryce Young for, I get he sucked this year. So again, I'm not trying to make excuses. I'm not trying to apologize for the play of Bryce Young, right? I'm not a Bryce Young apologist, but yeah, I think Bryce Young should be playing a little bit better, but he's not. So I'm just going to go with the defense playing against him. I think the Falcons defense is good enough to make a turnover, force a turnover, get some sacks. And so I'll go with the Falcons. Christopher Gilmore, Higgins, Dobbs, or Deontay PPR. Thank you for the advice. Thank you very much. So Higgins, I'm kind of just ruling out, if I'm being honest with you. Ever since Browning has took under center, like he doesn't feed Higgins. Like Higgins might get 4 targets in this matchup. And again, that's fine, but it's just not enough for me to feel confident playing Higgins. I'm going to go with Deontay Johnson. Now, again, Deontay Johnson's kind of one of those guys that he's kind of like a nuclear warhead that you throw into your lineup, right? Because we all know that Deontay Johnson never scores touchdowns, but he has scored a touchdown in back-to-back weeks. Deontay Johnson is a very talented wide receiver. He's a guy that gets a lot of targets. So even with Mitch Trubisky under center, Deontay Johnson's your best bet. Rock out. Thank you for the super chat. PPR, 1 running back, 1 flex. Javonte, Walker, Mitchell, McLaurin. I'm going to go with Javonte Williams and Kenneth Walker. Now, McLaurin's a guy that I'm just kind of very nervous about. McLaurin has been, for a majority of this season, very underwhelming. I am definitely a McLaurin stan. I'm someone that believes that McLaurin is a very solid NFL wide receiver. And even with Sam Howell playing so well, we just haven't really seen that oomph, right? That extra push for Javonte or for Terry McLaurin. So again, while I am definitely more of a Terry McLaurin stan compared to not a Terry McLaurin stan, I would definitely lean the way of fading away from McLaurin this week. Javonte feels like the safest bet. The Denver Broncos are a team that should be able to run up against the Lions. And then I'm going to go with Kenneth Walker. I understand Walker might be limited, but the upside is just so strong in that matchup up against the Eagles defense. So I'm going to go with Javonte Williams, and I'm going to go with Kenneth Walker. So Kenneth Walker third. So that's the way we're going. We're going Kenneth Walker, and we're going Javonte Williams. Tell no lies, no lies. No problem, Wang Chung. I appreciate it. Too many characters. All right, I got you. All right, let me pull up the other YouTube chat so I can find Tell no lies question. All right. Tell no lies says, oh, let me just mute this so it doesn't go super loud. Dak or Josh Allen? That's tough because those are both my 2 favorite quarterbacks on the week. I would lean with Josh Allen. 2 wide receivers, 2 running backs, and a flex. Chase, Jaden Reed, Beckham. Henry, Gibbs, Brees Hall, A-Chain, Kyron, defense, Browns or Jets, Falcons or Saints available? Oh, Jesus. This is a tough question. This is a tough question. All right, for the defense, we're going Browns. For the running backs, we're going Kyron, Brees Hall. Okay, I figured this out. All right, so we're going Josh Allen. I'm just going to type in the chat. Josh Allen. We're going Hall, Kyron. At receiver, we're going Chase and Reed. And then flex is going to be Henry. Defense, Browns. That's a fucking tough question because you have so many good players. Like, realistically, you probably want to on most teams, A-Chain, Kyron, Hall, Gibbs, and Henry are in, like, a majority of people's lineups, right? You're lucky. You have how many running backs is that? 1, 2, 3. You have 5 running backs that are basically must starts. So you should feel very good about that. So Josh Allen, Brees Hall, Kyron Williams, Jamar Chase, Reed, Henry, and the Browns defense. That's a good question, though. That's a very good question. It's tough. Drafted Joe Montana. Your top tier football movies? Question mark. That's a great question. Now, so I don't forget any. Let's pull up a list before I leave something out, because I already know if I leave something out, people are gonna get mad. That's just how people are about movies. All right. So based upon the ones that I've seen, I would say that Draft Day is probably my favorite one. I don't know how many of you guys have watched Draft Day. It's probably a very popular movie. It's about the NFL draft. And while it isn't the most realistic movie, I'd be lying to you if I told you that Draft Day was the most realistic movie on earth. It's very interesting. It's very cool to see what it would kind of look like if you were in the war room making draft picks. And it's kind of funny just how they go about things and how they end up selecting who they select in the first round. It's a very interesting movie. I'm not going to spoil it. I assume most of you guys have seen it. That's a good one. Another good one that I really like is The Blind Side. Now, again, there was obviously all that stuff with the guy who, Orr, I believe his name is, the guy that is the dude from The Blind Side with the people of the movie, his family, talking about how they took money from him, this, that, and the other thing. Now, if you're looking at it from that perspective, maybe you don't want to watch the movie, but the movie is amazing. I've watched that movie probably like 5 times. Seen it a couple times as a kid. I've watched it in school a bunch of times when I was growing up. I like that movie a lot. And then obviously I like Waterboy, Bobby Boucher. That is probably actually, if I'm being honest with you, Waterboy is probably my favorite movie. And then the one where they're in jail is also one of my favorite football movies. Jail football movie. And again, now that I said The Longest Yard, but I'm talking about The Longest Yard with Adam Sandler. I don't think I've ever seen the other one. And I know everyone that's a little bit older will probably be like the older one is better. My dad probably thinks that, but yeah. Let me give you a straight up answer. The Longest Yard is my favorite one. I didn't even think about that one because when I looked up football movies, that one didn't show up on the list. The Longest Yard is my favorite football movie. Hunter, thank you for the super chat. Thank you, drafted Joe Montana. Garrett Wilson, Devontae Smith, Zeke, Komet, or Goddard. What's your guys' favorite football movie? Leave it in chat. I want to know. Maybe there's a movie I need to watch that I have not seen. Leave it in the chat. Garrett Wilson, Devontae Smith, or Zeke. Remember the Titans. Oh, Remember the Titans is a good movie. Damn. There are a lot of football movies. There are a lot more football movies that I haven't even thought of. There's the one with Vince Papale. I think that was his name, the Eagles guy. That's a good one too. I used to think that was like fake as a kid. I didn't know that was real. Oh, I just hid someone's message on accident and I just undid it. Sorry to whoever's message that was. I'm trying to scroll down the chat and I accidentally hit someone's message. Hunter, Garrett Wilson, Devontae Smith, Zeke. Great question. Waterboy. The Replacements, Rudy. You guys like Rudy? Any Given Sunday? The Program. Yeah, there's a lot of movies. Okay, Garrett Wilson, Devontae Smith, Zeke. I would go with Devontae Smith and Zeke. Komet or Goddard, I'm going Komet. The reason why I'm leaving Garrett Wilson out is because the matchup is a little bit tough, and I just feel a little bit more confident in Devontae Smith as well as Zeke. Then I would definitely lean with Komet over Goddard because Goddard's been pretty up and down. And Komet has been very safe with Justin Fields. So Komet, Zeke, and Devontae Smith. Roderick, thank you for the super chat, my man. Flacco or Minshew? Curtis Samuel or McKinnon? Great question. I'm definitely going with McKinnon over Curtis Samuel. I just can't do it with Curtis Samuel. Regardless of how good he might look, I just don't trust it. I just feel like he's always that same guy that he's always been, which is just like randomly have a huge game and then you never see him again. So we're gonna go a little bit quicker because we're like 10 minutes behind. Love the replacements. The replacements is a good movie as well. I've seen that one. Minshew or Flacco? We're gonna go with Flacco. Cool Joe Flacco over Minshew. Flacco's been on fire, top 13 quarterback in back-to-back weeks. Minshew faces a tough test. I'd rather play Flacco. And then Curtis Samuel or McKinnon. I'm definitely gonna go McKinnon. Definitely going to go McKinnon there. I just feel a lot more confident in McKinnon. And again, if this game does end up being a little higher scoring, right, the Patriots offense gets it going, they start percolating, then McKinnon could catch a bunch of passes in this spot. PC, one seed, full PPR, need one, Zeke, Ridley, or Brees. This is a great question because this is a tough question because Ridley, for me, wouldn't be a part of the equation. Not because I think Ridley is actually a bad play by any means, but because I just don't trust Ridley compared to these other guys. So Brees or Zeke is tough. I got Zeke in the fourth tier, Brees in the third tier. You could argue that Zeke should be ranked even higher, but again, I still don't think Zeke is necessarily all that great. But again, I have to give him credit where credit's due, and he has looked great over the last 2 weeks. When push comes to shove, I would go with Brees Hall. Zach Wilson loves to dump the ball off to him. This is a Dolphins defense that could be taken out back and taken advantage of by the run. Brees was the running back 6 last week. I think he could easily replicate that this week. So in full PPR, I'm going with Brees. Again, I think Brees should get 6+ targets in this matchup. I think he's going to get a bunch of carries. And the Dolphins defense gets absolutely skull fucked in the red zone by the run. So if Brees is getting a lot of carries, then Brees should have a solid game. Ferguson, Kittle, or Thomas? Go with Kittle, Dorothy. Rockout says Dallas D or Indianapolis. Better team, better matchup. So technically, Dallas is the better team, right? I don't think anyone would be arguing that, but they do have to face up against the Buffalo Bills, which is a little bit tougher. Now, on defense, if we're talking straight up defense, I think the Colts defense is worse than the Dallas defense, obviously, but the matchup is better. So I'd go with the Colts against the Pittsburgh Steelers over Dallas against the Bills. Phil, thank you for the super chat. Chandler over Connor for me, yes. Now, the thing about James Conner is I don't dislike James Conner. I'm a big James Conner fan. If you guys were watching in the offseason, and if you guys have been watching over the last couple of years, you would know that I've been heavy on the James Conner bandwagon. I thought he was an excellent late round pick. And if he didn't get hurt this year, I think he would have ended up maybe not being a league winner because his matchups are so tough at the end of the season, but being a guy that a lot of people were very happy to have drafted. I think right now, if you drafted James Conner, you feel kind of just meh about it. You're probably not very excited, but you're also probably not like, oh, I made a terrible pick. So I would definitely go with Ty Chandler over James Conner. I like Ty Chandler's matchup a decent amount this week, and I think that without Alexander Madison, Ty Chandler should see a lot of run. So yes, Chandler over Conner. Hey, Nick Roxford, thank you for the super chat. In a jam, Deontay Johnson, OBJ, or DeMario Douglas. I understand this is a tougher question, but I definitely would go with Deontay Johnson. Again, while there are some ups and downs, some peaks and valleys with Deontay Johnson, he's a guy that should be a 7+ target guy every single week. He's the number one receiver on this offense. I get Mitch Trubisky isn't great, but again, you don't need to be the best receiver ever to just hit Deontay Johnson a couple times and have him do his thing. If he scores a touchdown, you're going to be very excited about Deontay Johnson. If he doesn't score, you're going to feel just pretty about him. Zach, thank you for the super chat. Rams or Indy? That's a good one. I would probably lean with the Indianapolis Colts again. I think Mitch Trubisky is just going to get hit a decent amount in this game, so I would definitely go with the Indianapolis Colts. The Indianapolis Colts defense is also on fire as of recently. They've been playing quite well, so I'm going to go ahead and go with the Colts defense over the Rams. Next question here from Jason. Thank you for the super chat. Half PPR, Love or Howell? 2 wide receivers, 2 running backs, and a flex. So Love versus Howell. According to my rankings, I'm kind of feeling Howell, if I'm being honest with you, but my rankings like Love, I got him ranked back to back. Love shit the bed last week, but I probably would still go with Love up against the Buccaneers defense. It's just a way better matchup for him. So we'll go with Love over Howell. I have him banked. I have him ranked back to back. Quarterback 9 and 10. Jordan Love's 9. So we'll go with Jordan Love again. I know he shit the bed last week, but I'm not really too worried about that. Then 2 running backs, 2 receivers, and a flex. Nakua, Jefferson, DJ Moore, Monty, Mixon, Kyron Williams, Elliott, Chandler, Gibson. Great question. So Nuka, Oh man, this is a fucking tough question. All right, so running back, we're going Kyron Williams, and we're going with. Oh man, this is another one of these where you're gonna feel like a bit of a stooge if you start the wrong guys. Let's go. You gotta play Kyron. So let me just write this down. We're gonna go Love. We're gonna go Kyron. Then we're gonna go Monty. At receiver, we're going Jefferson. And we're going DJ Moore. And then at flex, we're going Nakua. Oh man. So we're leaving out Mixon, Elliott, Chandler, and Gibson. I think that's the right move. I know Mixon went crazy last week. I just don't see him doing that again. I love Elliott as well. But again, I don't think I just don't think you can sit any of those receivers, right? If you sit Justin Jefferson goes for 30. Like that's basically a guarantee. Justin Jefferson is one of the best receivers in the NFL. If you sit Justin Jefferson, he is going to go absolutely ape shit, be the best receiver on the week, so you can't sit him. Nakua's got a great matchup. DJ Moore's got a tough matchup, but he's DJ Moore. He's going to be fine. Kyron is unsittable. And then it's between Monty, Elliott, and Mixon, and I would just lean with me feeling more confident in Monty. So Jordan Love, Kyron, Monty, Jefferson, DJ Moore, Puka, Nakua, lock it in there. Lock it in. Kane, thank you for the super chat. Devontae Smith, Rashi Rice, or Jaden Reed? Great question. Now, the Eagles' offense looked terrible last week. I'll tell you that. They were horrific. One second, guys. All right. So I would definitely go with Devontae Smith here. Again, the Eagles were absolutely atrocious last time we saw them. And yeah, I definitely give that some type of I don't even know how to word this correctly, but yeah, I do definitely recognize that. Right? I'm not just letting that blow over in my mind, right? I'm just not stiff arming that away, right? I'm acknowledging that that is what happens. Definitely acknowledging that. So, I'm going to go Devontae Smith. Again, Devontae Smith is the safest bet out of these guys. He has the highest upside. I don't see Rashi Rice ever being like the receiver one. I think Devontae Smith could be the receiver one any given week. I don't see Jalen Reed doing that either. So Devontae Smith feels like the safest out of that group, and he feels like he has the highest upside. I really like Rashi Rice and Jaden Reed, so this is tough because again, I'm a Rashi Rice guy, I'm a Jaden Reed guy, but I'm definitely going Devontae Smith. And then Caleb, I'd go A Chain. So Rashi Rice, Reed, they're two of my favorite plays this week, but you just can't sit Devontae Smith. I'm just not saying Devontae Smith. I think some night you can do early playoff draft. It'd be cool to see things. Yeah, I could definitely do that. Maybe now tonight I'm not going to be live. I'm going to be watching the UFC with my friends and the football game. So we'll probably say probably not Sunday night either because Sunday night announcement. I am going to be live on the Pat Mayo experience with Pat. Me, Pat, and Tim are going to be live. It's around 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, breaking down the Week 15 Sunday slate, talking about predicting the lines for next week, just doing what they normally do on the show, except for instead of a different guest, it's me. That's going to be sick. I've been watching Pat since I was in I would say high school, so ever since then. So I've been watching for like 10 years. So it's gonna be sick to be on there. If you guys want to stay tuned to watch that, make sure you do. It's gonna be at around 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's gonna be a fun time. So make sure you guys check that out. So yeah, I won't be able to do that tomorrow or tonight, but I think next week, maybe on Thursday during the Thursday live stream, I'll do a draft because I'm very interested to see as well how things go. I've already done one draft, but I'd like to do a lot more. It is hard for me to try to quantify doing the drafts during the actual season because so much can change in just 4 weeks. What is it, right? Week 15, 16, 17, 18. Yeah, so 4 weeks. A lot can change But I also think you could be getting a huge leap on other people, right? If you're getting the stacks now that are impossible to get in 4 weeks. So I definitely will do a stream doing that. I think maybe next Thursday we'll fire up a draft on the stream. I need one wide receiver and one flex. Kyle Pitts, thank you, Frank. I appreciate you. Kyle Pitts, Tyler Boyd, Noah Brown. Also, any given Sunday and two for the money, both Al Pacino movies. I'll make sure to watch that. I'll make sure to watch that. I love Al Pacino. Al Pacino. I think I have seen Any Given Sunday. I don't think I've seen Two for the Money. Let me look it up real quick, and then I'll answer your question. Two for the Money. It's got McConaughey. It's got Al. My boy Jeremy Piven is in this movie as well. Oh, wow. I've never seen this movie before. Sounds good, though. All right. Future Nick, remember that so you watch it. Because that does sound good. I have seen Any Given Sunday, though, but I will watch Two for the Money. Let's go Noah Brown and Kyle Pitts. Look, I love Tyler Boyd. I've been a Tyler Boyd guy for years. Anyone that's been watching for like 4 fucking years would know that I'm a Tyler Boyd guy. I've been drafting Tyler Boyd for years. But I think personally I would go ahead and play Noah Brown over him. I just don't trust Tyler Boyd. So Noah Brown and Kyle Pitts. I know Kyle Pitts and Noah Brown, they're not the safest players ever, but I would definitely go Kyle Pitts and Noah Brown. I feel like Noah Brown is just a huge boom play, and then Pitts is just way safer than Tyler Boyd. Any updates on A Chain and Godwin? A Chain, I think, is going to play. Godwin, I'd say he's a game time decision. I do think Puka will play better than Cup Michael. Tim, thank you for the super chat. Full PPR pick 2, Javonte, Singletary, and London. I'm going to go Javonte and London. Now, the reason why I'm kind of out on Singletary this week is because I think that Devin Singletary is not a very safe option. I think that Devin Singletary could get out touched by Dameon Pierce, and it wouldn't shock me at all. I also wouldn't be shocked if Dameon Pierce and him split, and I wouldn't be shocked if Singletary outsnapped him by a wide margin. And when there's that much doubt in my mind about something, you're just better off pushing it to the side and forgetting about it, right? You're almost just better off forgetting about it. All right. So I would definitely just avoid Singletary this week. That's just kind of my opinion on things. Staying away from Singletary because, again, I don't know how many touches he's going to get. And I'm not going to sit here and pretend to tell you. If it was my best bet, I would say that Singletary is going to out-touch Pierce by like 3 touches. That would be my best bet. But again, that's not a guarantee. So I'm going to go Javonte and London. Javonte is way safer, and I like Drake London a lot. So that is just kind of how I feel about things. 1 for the money, 2 for the show. So yeah, Javonte and Drake London. Got to go Drake London over the other Singletary. Jeffrey, thanks for the super chat. Hey man, I'm torn. CH or McKinnon since Pacheco isn't playing. Thanks. So my opinion on this question, Jeffrey, is pretty simple in a way because we've seen Jerick McKinnon in years prior just go absolutely nuclear. Right? When there was no Pacheco, right? When Jerick McKinnon has been given the opportunity to be the guy, he's been great. Now, the thing with Jerick McKinnon is that he is not guaranteed 10 plus touches, right? He is not gifted the guarantee of touching the ball a lot, whereas Clyde Edwards-Helaire is, right? If you were trying to make a bet who's going to get more touches, I would almost bet I would bet a lot of money that CEH is going to get more touches than McKinnon. The thing is that CEH, when getting those touches, is very inefficient, right? He gets the ball and he doesn't really do jack shit with it. So again, if you want to be safe, Jeffrey, you play Clyde Edwards-Helaire. For me, I'm not too worried about being safe. Again, I talk about this a lot. I am not the safest drafter or the safest player ever. I'm just going to hunt for the upside, and I think McKinnon has more upside. We saw McKinnon juke a guy out of his socks last week and run into the end zone. CH ain't doing that, so I'm going to go McKinnon personally. Going McKinnon, and there are no other super chats, so back to the regular chats here. I think Hill will play too. Miami has to win. I think Hill is going to play. I think there's a chance that Hill's a decoy. But I'm going to be honest with you. In my fantasy football playoffs, I have Hill on a lot of my teams. You guys know I'm a Dolphins fan. I draft a lot of Tyreek Hill. To be honest, kind of have to play him. Look, Hill might end up being a fucking decoy. Hill might end up not playing. But what I will tell you right now is that if you sit Tyreek Hill and Tyreek Hill goes gangbusters, scores a gazillion fantasy points, then you're going to feel like an asshole. You're going to feel like an idiot. So I would 100% rather play Hill for a lot of teams. Again, Hill could be a large bust. He could be a huge bust, and it would not shock me. But I'm going to go ahead and play him. If I have him and he starts, I'm playing him. That's just how I feel about it. Should I play Addison or Higgins over Godwin? I would. When does Higgins play? Oh, today. Fuck. Yeah, I'd probably just play Higgins if I'm being honest, because I don't know if Godwin's going to play or not, and my brain tells me he probably does play, but he's probably limited. 1 for the money, 2 for the show. Let's rock. Everybody, let's rock. Pick 3, Javonte Williams, Breece Hall, Kenneth Walker, Ty Chandler. PPR, half PPR. The first 3. You got to go with the first 3. Michael, thank you for the super chat. Start of the Raiders, D, need safety. Ford, Hopkins, Cooper. I think if you're just looking for pure safety, that the safest bet is Ford, right? I think Ford's kind of proven that this season. Ford's not really going to dip below 10 points. Ford is not going to end up being some colossal bust. But at the end of the day, do you actually want to play? Do you actually want to play? Do you actually want to play Ford? Sorry, I just fucking lost my train of thought. Do you actually want to play Ford over D Hop, who D Hop's been great 2 weeks in a row? So again, if you're really just looking for pure safety, right? You're really worried, like, oh, I need a real safe bet. Go ahead and play. Go ahead and play Ford. But again, I don't think even just because you have the Raiders defense doesn't you mean you need to just guarantee yourself 10 points. To me, I would much rather just go with DeAndre Hopkins. I don't think you can sit DeAndre Hopkins. DeAndre Hopkins has been way too good for you to sit DeAndre Hopkins. That's how I feel. I just don't think I could do it. So I'm going to play DeAndre Hopkins. Again, Ford is technically safer, but you would have to be crazy to sit DeAndre Hopkins in my book, especially with how good DeAndre Hopkins has looked recently. I do understand that he could just magically fall off, right? Because we've seen that this season, some great games out of Hopkins, and then he's just invisible, John Cena style. You can't see him. But as of right now, that's kind of just how I lean on things. We're gonna go ahead and go with Hopkins. I just have to play Hopkins. Again, I don't know how you can sit Hopkins. I just don't know how. Everybody, let's rock. All right. D-Hop. Jason, thank you for the super chat. Would you start Taysom or Kincaid? I would personally start Kincaid. Now, I know that Kincaid had a bit of an oopsie last week, right? I know that he didn't have the best game ever, and I fully understand that. But I think that you definitely have to play Kincaid over Taysom Hill. Taysom Hill is very boomer bust. Now, again, I'm a big Taysom Hill guy. I was banging the drum for Taysom Hill even in the offseason. If you guys were watching a lot of my best ball drafts I was doing on live stream, I had a lot of Taysom Hill in best ball. I'm a huge Taysom Hill guy. I believe heavily that Taysom Hill is a very high upside play. But every single week, Taysom Hill could get you 2 points, right? We all acknowledge that. Anyone that watches this team plays knows that. So, what I will tell you is that I'm going to go ahead and go with Kincaid. I think Kincaid is in for a decent amount of targets every single week. He's a very safe play, and he's also a very talented tight end. So when push comes to shove here, when you got to make your actual big boy decisions, the big boy decision would be to play Kincaid. So that's how I feel. That's just how I feel. So yeah, I'd go I would go with Kincaid. I lost Allen last week and now I'm fumbling. I get that. I get that. I would go Douglas and Addison. What's up, Rosbo? Everything? How you doing, my man? How you doing, man? How you doing? How you doing? How you doing? Update. Rank my starting team. Hurts, Ridley, Higgins. Looks pretty good to me. I'd say that's like about a B, a B, like an 8.3. Russ or Goff, thank you, Caleb. And then Kincaid or Goddard. Thank you for the super chat. All right, I think we may end up cutting this stream short. Now, again, not by like a wide margin, but I think in like 5 minutes I'm gonna get off because I got some shit to do. Again, that's what happens when they put games on Saturday. I don't just have unlimited time to stream like I would on a Sunday, right? Obviously, we don't have unlimited time on Sunday, but realistically, if I wanted to wake up a little bit earlier, we would have unlimited time on Sunday. So let's go with Russ over Goff. Again, Russ has been playing really well. Goff has been struggling. Goff does normally struggle outside. This is a game that's going to be inside in the dome for the Lions, so that is a lot better for Jared Goff. But again, I think I just trust Russ up against that Lions defense that is just so bad. The Denver Broncos defense, obviously on paper, they don't have the best skill position players ever, or not skill position players, but they don't have the best defensive players on earth, but they do play well in that scheme. It's night and day comparing the beginning of the season to where we're sitting right now. So I definitely would go with Goff. And then Kincaid or Goddard is basically the easiest question ever. I am 100% going to play Kincaid because Kincaid is the safest bet over Goddard. Goddard is a very boomer bust player every single week, and I'd rather just go ahead and avoid the potential bust of Goddard and just go with the much safer play in Kincaid. So we're going with Russ and we're going Kincaid. Live Creation, thank you for the super chat. Full PPR start Ty Chandler or Jerome Ford. Now, I like Ty Chandler a ton this week, but I think if you start Ty Chandler over Jerome Ford, it's one of those scenarios where you're getting a little bit too cute. Now, again, am I saying that it's impossible for that to work out? No, I'm not saying that it's impossible for that to work out because any given game, Ty Chandler could have a huge game, but I definitely would rather lean with Ford, who, again, I know is going to get 10, 12 carries. I know is going to get me 10 fantasy points. And I know at the end of the day, I'm going to be happy about him. Ty Chandler isn't the best running back ever. He's comparable to Alexander Madison, but we all know Alexander Madison isn't the greatest running back ever. We saw Jerome Ford early on in this season really dominate, have some great games. I know he's kind of been more on the back pedal as of recently, but I don't think that's a reason to say that, like, hey, this guy sucks, right? I don't think Ford sucks by any means. I think Kareem Hunt has continued to kind of get his touches reduced, and that has really helped out the upside of Jerome Ford. So I'm going to go ahead and lean with Jerome Ford. I just see no reason to go with anyone other than Jerome Ford, if I'm being honest with you. So Jerome Ford is the layup answer there for me. Thank you, Live Creation. I really appreciate you. Thank you for the super chat. Thank you for the super chat. Jerome Ford. Danny, I believe is how you would pronounce that. Would you flex Douglas, Spears, Wandale, Gabe Davis, or Hunt? So if Douglas plays, the easy answer is Douglas. The easy answer is Douglas because Douglas is not going to score you 25 fantasy points. Douglas is not going to put your team on his back, right? Douglas is not going to fucking do that. Everyone knows that. Everyone knows that. But what Douglas is going to do is be good enough for your team to hold its head over water, right? Douglas is going to be good enough for you not to be sleeping with the fishes at the end of the week. So what I'll tell you is that if Douglas plays, you're going Douglas. If Douglas does not play, then we enter the range where I am just going for the most upside possible, and that would be Gabe Davis. Now, again, we understand how Gabe Davis is, and I think you understand that as well. Gabe Davis is either going to go crazy or be a complete and utter disaster. So if you want the safe bet, you go Douglas. I would play Douglas over Gabe Davis, though, assuming Douglas plays. And then you go to Gabe Davis. But if you don't want to play Gabe Davis because you feel he's too risky, then you go Spears. So I gave you 3 answers for one question. I hope you understand that. Douglas is my answer if he plays. If Douglas doesn't play and you want more upside, you go Davis. If Douglas doesn't play and you want more safety, you go Spears. There you go. Gil, Colts or Ravens defense this week? I would definitely go with That's a good one. I would definitely go with the Colts. The Ravens matchup against the Jaguars is not good. Now, again, I get Nick, the Ravens defense is great, this, that, and the other thing. Yeah, but I think in fantasy football, you really got to be playing matchups. You really want to be attacking matchups, and the Colts have a great matchup on their hands. The Colts defense has also been relatively hot as of recently. The Colts defense is probably way better than I would say a majority of people give them credit for. So we're gonna go ahead and go with the Colts defense there over the Ravens. Definitely going with the Colts. Evans or Rice? Evans. Addison or Waddle? Waddle. Ridley or Reed? I'd go Reed. Javante, Najee, Dotson, London, or CH. Javante. DJ Moore or Hopkins? DJ Moore. I would go with Kincaid and Tyron if that's the case. I think A Chain will go though. Bitch, I feel like Monte. All right, all right, all right. Pick two, Superflex, Moss, Zeke, Ayuk, Jake Browning, and Moss. Nope, Jake Browning and Ayuk. I lied. Zach, we'll go to Scano right after that. Bitch, I feel like Monte. Assist from Rondo. Bitch, I feel like Monte. Ooh. Ingram or Laporta? One second. Let me just pull this up. Ingram or Laporta? Let's go. Ingram or Laporta? I'm going Laporta. That's a really tough question because both of those guys are great. So it is really a tough kind of scenario to be in. But I think I would just have to go with Laporta. Laporta has been the higher upside play. I think this Lions offense is going to look a lot better this week compared to the last couple of weeks. So I'm going to go ahead and go with Laporta over Ingram. That's a tough question, though. I think technically, Zach, if you want the safest bet, I believe that, at least in my mind, Laporta is probably more risky than Ingram. So if you want a more safe bet, go Ingram because I don't really see Ingram falling outside of the top. I don't really see Ingram falling outside of the top 6. I could see Laporta finishing outside the top 10 pretty easily. But again, I would still probably lean with my gut, and my gut tells me to play Laporta. If you want the safety, you go Ingram. If you want more risk, go Laporta. I go Laporta. Scano, thank you for the super chat. Star 3 in PPR. Zeke, Pollard, Kyron, Mixon. Thank you, G. No problem. Yeah, this is one where you're going to be pulling your fucking hair out thinking about. This is a real tough one. This is a real annoying question. Not because you're an annoying person or something. It's annoying because it's very hard to choose from those type of guys, right? Where you're kind of in a tough scenario because one of these guys that you start will probably end up being bad, and one of the guys that you sit, the guy that you sit, will end up having a big game. It's tough when you have this many good players. So we're gonna go. You got to play Pollard. You got to play Kyron. You just lock those guys in. Just lock them in. Lock in Pollard and Kyron, and then it becomes Zeke or Mixon, and that's tough. Zeke versus Mixon is incredibly tough. Again, I'm going with my gut. And my gut tells me Zeke over Mixon. Now, I have Mixon ranked ahead of Zeke. But my gut, if this was my lineup, I'm playing Zeke over Mixon. I might even go adjust that and put put Zeke over Mixon because I get Mixon had a huge game last week, but will he be able to do it again? I'm not too sure. Zeke had a huge game too, but Zeke's also a little bit fugazi, right? I don't think Zeke's very good. I think Mixon's a more talented back than Zeke at this point in their careers. So I'm flip-flopping. I'm going back to what my heart tells me, the rankings tell me that I made, tell me to go Mixon. So we're going Mixon, Kyron, and Pollard. We're sitting Zeke. It's very tough. This is a very, very tough question, but I'm going to go Zeke. I mean, I'm gonna go Pollard, Kyron, and Mixon. That's what I'm saying. I'm going Mixon, Kyron, and Pollard. Lock it in before I start overthinking things. Oh, thank you, Tyron. I'm glad you enjoy it. I'm glad you enjoy underdog fantasy. So again, Scano, we're going Pollard, Kyron, and Mixon. I know I flip flopped like 3 different times, and that's how you know you have a tough question to answer, and that's why you asked the question, right? Because it's tough as rocks, right? So we're going Pollard, Kyron, and Mixon. All right, Zach, thank you for the super chat. Indy, Rams, or Tennessee? Indy, Rams, or Tennessee? I'd go Indy. I would go Indy. Again, I really think Indy is going to continue to get those turnovers that are crucial for fantasy football. I think they're going to get a lot of pressure. I think they're going to be playing very well in that game. I think they are one of the not one of the better defenses in the NFL, but they are a defense that is excellent at forcing turnovers. They're great at baiting the quarterback and then just jumping in front of the route. They're also great at forcing fumbles. They get a lot of fumbles, a lot of sacks. So I'm just going to have to go with Indy. I just think they're the best defense there for fantasy. If Aaron Jones plays, he's a solid start. I don't think he's a solid start because I don't think that he's a. I think if I knew he was 100% healthy, yes, but I think they're going to play him and they're just going to ease him in like they did earlier on in the season. Yeah, I'll check it out, Tyron. When the stream's over, I'll look at it. Yo, Nick, save my fantasy. Reed or Gibbs? I would go Reed personally. Nick Mullins or Zach Wilson? I'm gonna just play Nick Mullins. I don't trust Zach Wilson, the MILF hunter. I don't really trust him. I'd rather just go with the unknown of Nick Mullins, and Nick Mullins might end up being fucking good. I mean, if you look at Nick Mullins' actual stats, his real life stats are actually really good. For 17 games, like that's he had a better season than Andrew Luck's rookie year if you just compile all of his 17 starts. Now, obviously, that's over a bunch of years, but what am I supposed to do? Huh? Jamar Chase. All right. All right, we're gonna answer a couple more questions here, and then we're getting out of here. Quarterback lost Stroud, Levis, Flacco, Minshew, DeVito. Definitely going Flacco. Flacco has been insanely reliable this season. Been a top 13 quarterback in back-to-back weeks. I would 100% go with Flacco. I think Flacco is the safest bet out of those guys. I know Flacco could potentially just have a disasterful game because he's Joe Flacco after all, but at the end of the day, this is where push comes to shove. This is a huge playoff game for you. You need to win this game. I'm going with Flacco. I just trust him the most out of that group. I think Minshew's fine as well, but this feels like the kind of Minshew game where he ends up as like the quarterback 23. And again, he doesn't play like super terrible, but he also doesn't do anything at all warranting you actually having wanted to start him. So that's how I feel about things. We're going to go ahead and go with Joe Flacco. So we are going to end the stream here. I'm going to just rapidly answer some more questions without actually breaking them down. Chuba or Lockett, I would go with Chuba. SF or Atlanta, I would go with SF. Hubbard or Chandler, Hubbard. Mullins or Minshew, Minshew. Saints or Colts. Saints started up against it with my opponent, D. Adams. Lowell start 4. I would go with CD, AJ Brown. Oh my God. I guess you're sitting Jamar Chase. Chuba had a 2,400 yard season in college. That's really not that surprising. Chuba Hubbard's a fucking beast. Yeah, good luck to everyone. If you have one last question, just ask in the chat real quick and I'll answer it. If not, if I don't see the question, I'm just getting out of here. Zeke or Reed. Zeke is lots of good play this week. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I'm some kicker expert. A majority of my leagues don't even have kickers, so I don't even think about them. I just kind of play whoever I think will be best. I think Lutz will be fine. What's up, brother? I Pacheco out for me this week, and the option of CH or McKinnon. Which would you rather have? Look, if you want the safest answer is CH, but I don't think CH is very good, so I'd rather go with the guy getting less touches that I think has more upside. So I would personally play McKinnon. Ty Chandler or McBride. I would go McBride. I have no idea there are games today. Lull for the win, first round bye. Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy that there is games today. I don't like it, to be honest with you. I don't like how the NFL towards the end of the season tries to invade your Saturday as well. Like, I don't know. I try to do other things aside from watch football. I'm not like a college football guy, so It's just a little annoying, and it's also annoying that the NFL is on at the exact same time as the UFC, so I'm gonna have to watch both at the same time. I know what a fucking struggle, but it should be fun regardless. Um, should I drop Foreman or Murray or Johnson for the Broncos defense? I would drop I would drop Foreman. Falcons or Ravens defense, I'd go with the Falcons. Two are Lawrence. Flex Najee or wait for A Chain. If no A Chain, I can flex JSN. Yeah, I would just wait for A Chain and then just play OBJ. Demarcus Robinson, Patrick Taylor, or Demario Douglas. Jalen Warner, Antonio Gibson, Hurts or Browning. Hurts, Old St. Nicholas. Thank you guys. Yep, I appreciate you guys. I'll see you guys all later. We're going to get out of here now. I went a little over time, so I love you guys. Have a great one. Have fun in chat. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays to everyone. We'll be live tomorrow, and we'll be live next week as well on Christmas. I think the games are on Christmas or Christmas Eve. We'll be live. Might be live on Christmas as well. I don't think we will be, but maybe we will be. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. Love you guys. Genuinely appreciate all you guys. We are very close to hitting. Actually, we aren't close to hitting 31 or 32,000, but thank you for 31,000 subscribers. Thank you guys for 6 million views. Without all you guys, the whole ship sinks, as they always say. So I love you guys. Have a great one. And I'll see you guys very, 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 very soon. Goodbye.